Are you a figure skater or a hockey player or someone who enjoys skating on ice? Imagine if I told you that there's ways to actually have a better impact on climate change based on the ice that you're skating on. Probably think, Andrew, I think you've lost it. What are you talking about? We're talking about a different type of ice that doesn't require energy to ensure that the ice freezes. This is just a pad that you can skate on, and you don't need to freeze it. You don't need cold weather. You can actually be in an arena or outside in Dubai if you want to be, or in Egypt or somewhere in the Middle East where it's really boiling hot, and you can skate and you can play hockey and you can figure skate and you can do whatever you'd like. You can even do curling clubs and so that stuff. It is amazing. It's a lot of fun. People are skating on this Glice all over the world, and we have Victor Meyer, who is the CEO of Glice, here on the podcast to talk about how Glice is helping save the planet by reducing the energy and greenhouse gases it takes to freeze regular traditional ice. We're going to talk about that on today's episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Let's start the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin, and this is the podcast where you find out what's happening with the ocean, how you can speak up for the ocean, and what you can do to live for a better ocean by taking action. And on today's episode, we've got Victor Meyer from Glice. It's a company that creates a different type of ice that doesn't require a lot of energy to make. The traditional ice that I skate on and that my daughters skate on when I coach them to play hockey requires a lot of energy to not only maintain the ice, but also to freeze the new water that you put on through a Zamboni, which is gas powered and runs about 20 times a day if it's on one pad. But all these ice rinks now have like 3 or 4 pads, so it runs multiple times a day. And it needs to put water down so that freezes even more. But that the freezing aspect requires a lot of energy to use. And imagine if you can just eliminate that energy and just put on these pads that don't require, the energy to keep it cold, because it doesn't need to be cold because it's not ice. It's just a polymer that you can use that's like ice, and it's as slippery as ice, and you can glide on it with your skate blades. And you can have it not only on an ice rink, but you can have it in your home. You can have it in your backyard. You can have it pretty much anywhere. And as a Canadian who values being able to skate on a regular basis, this is a game changer. As someone who's a coach for hockey, this is a game changer to allow some of the kids that I coach to be able to get on a pad and skate around and shoot and just be able to build on their skills in their backyard or in their basement or in their house. It's one of the things that's a game changer, maybe even make the sport of hockey, figure skating, whatever you do on the ice, even better when you get it, because the number of people that will be playing on this type of ice will be even better. So we're going to talk to Victor Meyer, who's the CEO of this and the co-founder. He's really passionate about this. The amount of different applications of ice was really surprising to me, and how he got into this and how he wanted to be part of a business that had a good environmental impact. We're going to talk about that today. Enjoy the interview, and I'll talk to you after. Hey, Victor, welcome to the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Are you ready to talk about ice?
Of course. Yes.
Love it. I love it. Like, I'm super pumped for this. This is something that, when I started the How to Protect the Ocean podcast, I didn't think I'd be talking to people such as yourself who are making ice for people to enjoy, to skate on, not for putting in their glasses or not for this. This is for people to go figure skating, play hockey, pleasure skating, wherever you want in the world, you can have ice. And there's an interesting way that you make it. And we're going to get into all of that. And I can't wait to do this. But this is part of an ongoing sort of series that I'm doing to get people to know some of the entrepreneurs that are out there that are trying to do stuff that are that's good for the ocean, good for the planet. And Victor, you reached out. You're like, I'm one of those people. I want to get on the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Love the ocean. So we're going to get to it. I can't wait to do that. Before we do, though, Victor, why don't you just let us know who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Victor Meyer. I'm originally from Switzerland. I grew up in the mountains, in the nature.
Ooh,
and but even if I'm a mountain cheese or like a mountain Swiss cheese, I love the ocean as well. I love diving, snorkeling, everything. And whenever I get to the ocean, even if it's cold, I go into the water, and the salty taste. I just love it.
Oh, amazing.
Exactly.
And you're doing this interview from Indonesia. Have you had a chance to go diving so far?
Yes, actually, I explored the different places, and the marine life is amazing. I've seen
Oh
manta
yeah.
rays. I've been snorkeling with manta rays, and all kinds of sea life. It's really beautiful. I can recommend anyone who has the chance to go to Indonesia, go snorkeling.
I can
Uh,
imagine. Yeah, that's something that I feel like that's like a bucket list thing. If you go to Southeast Asia, especially Indonesia, that area is just it's absolutely stunning. So definitely on my bucket list to do so. Little envious of you right now to be able to be around that, and I think that's amazing. So let's talk. Get to know you a little bit more in terms of how you grew up. You obviously grew up in Switzerland. Nature lover. Beautiful mountains, beautiful nature, kind of went all over the place. How long did you live in Switzerland for?
So I was until the beginning of my 20s.
Okay.
I grew up in Switzerland, and as you said, like I grew up next to a forest. Was always playing in the forest, making huts or like tree houses and stuff, and like little cable cars, like where you go down like a Rambo
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a rope and stuff,
Like a
and
zip line.
just
Yeah.
having fun. Yeah, but it was also in my childhood in the mid 80s. We had the Chernobyl accident in
Right.
Ukraine,
Right.
and actually I remember I was like 6 7 years old. We were not allowed for like 3 4 weeks to play
Wow.
outside because of the radiation, and that was so impactful. I realized, oh, we humans can
Yeah.
basically fuck up the planet, right? and
100%. I did
and
not know it affected the air quality. I never even thought about it. You just hear Chernobyl and you think it just affected everybody in Chernobyl, but you never thought it would affect anybody on outside countries, especially Switzerland. I never would have thought about that. Did
yeah,
anybody get affected by that? Like, did they ever do studies to see like how
I don't
far
know,
the
but
plume went?
maybe as a precaution they just said, hey,
Maybe.
don't drink milk because the grass is eaten by
Right.
cows,
Right.
and don't play outside. And I mean, Europe is,
Yeah.
it's tiny, right? So
Right.
Chernobyl, it's I don't know how many, maybe 2,000 miles away, right? But that's
Right.
enough for a cloud to come over.
100%. I think
Yeah,
it's something we don't realize how air pollution can travel so much. I did an
yeah,
interview a number of years ago. I think it was probably 8 years ago now, about polar bears. And in Canada, obviously, we have polar bears up north, and the scientists were saying that there was proof and evidence that the air quality from southern Ontario was getting up north in northern Ontario, where these polar bears were, and in
yeah.
in the Arctic. And it was actually, they can detect the same type of chemicals within the air from Ontario, southern Ontario, into northern Ontario in the polar bear's fur. And so they're saying that was
Wow.
affecting their overall health. But you never really, that was a surprise to me, because you never think about how far air goes. I mean, even just not last summer, the summer before that, there were forest fires all over Canada. And it got so bad in Quebec that the smoke, just, I guess the wind shifted, the smoke went down into New York City, where it looked like apocalypse. You probably saw those videos, or the videos and
Yeah,
the pictures last year, and it just looked like an apocalypse. So you don't, that just surprised me so much. I did not think about that. But I guess as a child, it
yeah,
makes you think. And as you grow up, you're probably like, well, hold on a second here.
yeah.
What are we doing to this planet? Like, what's going on here? Right.
Exactly. Yeah, and that developed my consciousness
Yeah.
for preservation. I remember I joined the WWF.
Okay.
I did activities. I was collecting money for them and so on. And yeah, and I always knew that when I'm a grown up, I
Mm-hmm.
want to, I want to take care of our planet and ecology. And actually, my path was to become a diplomat. So
Okay.
I went to study international studies
Right.
with focus on diplomacy and focus on international environment studies. And I was supposed to go work on a Swiss embassy and so on. And it was during my studies that I realized that I have like an entrepreneurial, hang,
Yeah.
and during my studies, I developed a company. Or basically, it was not my company, but was for a German company. I suggested them, hey, I open your Swiss-French subsidiary,
Yeah.
and that was quite successful. And from there, I developed my confidence in entrepreneurship, and actually went that route. And after my studies, I had saved some money because of building that business.
Right.
I went to travel backpacking around the world for 1.5 years, and
Wow.
after 1.5 years, I got stuck in Texas, in the
Okay.
US, exactly of all places.
Of all places. Yeah.
And I worked there for a technology startup. I like the startup scenes and so on. And then I went back to Switzerland, worked for a medical device company, and but I didn't like the job. It was like a big
Okay.
corporation and stuff.
Right.
And it was there where I one evening I watched BBC, a show about inventors, and
Mm-hmm.
I saw a guy who developed a material which looks like ice. It feels like ice, but it's not ice, and you can
Oh.
perfectly skate on it, and it doesn't use energy, nothing like that. So I googled the guy,
Yeah.
I contacted him, and out of the blue, I appeared, and I let me skate on it, and I said, "Hey, very cool product. I can help you build a business." And so 50-50, we started the company together in
Yep.
Switzerland, and the rest is history.
So tell me more about this ice, because obviously as a Canadian, ice is a big part of my life. I grew up on it. I skated. I played hockey for pretty much all of my life. My brother went to Europe to play hockey. Like, hockey is in our family, and when hockey's on,
Yeah,
like when I was young, nobody talked. It was like we just
yeah,
watched hockey every day, and if we weren't watching it, we were playing it. Like, it was one of the two: road hockey, any kind of hockey. But ice, obviously, you don't really think about what goes into making the ice. You just think, oh, it's ice. It's probably just water. It freezes. There's probably something underneath the ice to make it freeze and ensure that it stays frozen, so that you can grind and cut and everything into the ice. Before you talk about what this ice is, can you just talk about
yeah.
how regular skating ice is made so that we can see the difference?
Of course. So normally, you have like tubes,
Yeah.
uh, like coils of tubes or lines, and there's a cooling agent which is cooled down by a chiller, and
Okay.
that's where you use enormous amounts of energy, which goes through these
Ah.
tubes. Okay,
Okay.
and so it works like a freezer, and then obviously you put water on it, but a lot of water evaporates or goes away,
Yeah.
so you have to add water. So
Yeah.
it's
Hence the
very high in
Zambonis.
consumption. Exactly, the Zamboni takes it off, and so you have very high energy consumption,
Right.
a lot of water consumption, and if it's indoor, it has to be perfectly insulated. So you have air conditioning, you have dehumidifier, so you have again electricity used there,
Yeah.
and as a rule of thumb is every square meter of ice uses the same energy, like an average home in Switzerland or
Wow.
Canada.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
if you have an Olympic size rink, which is 1,800 square meter, that's equal to 1,800 homes in terms of
Wow.
energy consumption and water. Okay, of course it
Yeah.
varies. If the environment is super cold in December or so, the energy consumption is less. But if you have there are many rinks in Florida or so on, they use much more energy than what I just described. So yeah,
Gotcha.
and that's exactly where we come in. We believe that ice sports, you said hockey, and
Yeah.
so on. These are amazing sports that they bring people together, keep them fit, healthy, but it's not sustainable
Right.
to make ice, yeah, right? And that's where our technology is coming in.
This is interesting because you never think about this. This is all this surprising to me. I grew up around ice. Even to this day, I coach hockey. I'm in the rinks like at least twice a week, and I still don't really realize how much energy is used up when creating the ice, like, and maintaining the ice. You think about a
Mm.
Zamboni. Zamboni runs. It's not electric. It runs on gas. It's
Yeah,
got to go around at least probably 20 times a day, maybe more, and it's running around the ice and it goes double pads. It was always on, plus the actual generation of the energy to make sure that ice stays nice and cold and hard. So let's talk. So that's really interesting. So here's the problem. The problem is it uses a lot of energy. So that's expensive to make. It's expensive to maintain. It's not good for the climate. You guys decided, okay, let's solve this problem. Let's make ice that's not really ice. So let's talk about Glice.
Yeah. So basically, Glice, it looks like a cutting board you have in your kitchen, right?
Okay.
So we use high grade polymers.
Okay.
We use different additives like silicone and so on. Some additives we don't disclose. These are nanotechnology or nanoparticles.
Okay.
And they're just designed and engineered in a way to lower the friction. Okay, so that
okay.
when you skate on it,
Yeah.
the molecules of our Glice surface, they release gliding agents.
Okay.
And so the skate glides on these tiny gliding agents, and so it's perfectly seamless. Yeah.
So does it, when you go over with the blade, like on regular ice, when you go over with the blade, you make a mark, probably, right? Like as you turn or as you dig your edges in, you can make a mark. Does this make a mark in the Glice?
Yeah. So but not as deep as on real ice. So you have like micro marks.
Yeah.
And from, if you go close, you can see it. It's like the surface is like scratched. Gotcha. From far away, it looks perfectly uniform. And what is interesting is the more scratched is the surface, it even glides better. So it's probably the only product which becomes better the more you use it. And it sounds like, wow, it doesn't get scratched away, right? But actually, the lifetime of our product is 30 years. And after 15 years, half time, you can flip it over and you have a brand new surface.
No way. Are you serious?
So it's basically undestroyable surface.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible. So let me ask, as someone who likes to have sharp skates when I skate, do these dull the skates because of the polymers, or does the agent that allows them to glide, it just does the same thing as ice? Like, do you have to sharpen your skates a lot more since you're on this Glice compared to being on regular ice?
That's a brilliant question. Yes. So our ice, the Glice, our Glice ice, the friction is a bit higher than regularly perfectly resurfaced ice. Okay. Although, and it's a matter of time, because we are doing research.
Of course.
And every year we come out with a new generation, and we are just working on the next generation. So we try to get as close to perfectly freshly resurfaced ice.
Right.
Our ice is already better than any ice you find on an average Christmas market, where the Zamboni hasn't passed for 3 hours or so. Yeah, but we try to get there, and so you have to sharpen a bit more often than on regular ice,
which is fine.
I mean, it's a small compromise for saving the planet, right?
Of course.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what's the maintenance of this ice? Like obviously, when you have regular ice, that like the traditional ice that we use, you have a Zamboni that goes over the ice and it puts water over it, so it fills all the cracks and then it freezes again. What's the maintenance on the Glice itself?
It's simply cleaning. So we sell a cleaning machine, but also regular floor cleaning machines you see in the shopping malls.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's a rotating brush. Okay. And although we are right now working on a special brush who gives a special polish, who even makes the glide better. So
right.
So there's always a lot of science behind it. Yeah.
Well, and you're constantly adapting to make it even better and better and better as you go through, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
but
so cool.
but the short answer, just cleaning. You want to have a pristine, nice white surface, and that's why you need to clean.
Okay.
From time to time. Exactly.
Now, how do people react when they realize that it's not your traditional type of ice when they go on it?
So the people who are not used to ice, the child who has never skated and so on. They go and they like it and they do not even realize it. If a kid knows hockey, knows regular ice, the first impression is yes, oh, it's a bit slower. I need a bit more effort.
Right.
But it's
Right.
actually only a matter of time. If they go around, they normally tell me it's like if you buy a new car, you
Mm-hmm.
know, at the
Yeah.
beginning, the first 15 minutes, it feels different than your old car,
Right.
right? The old car, you're not even thinking about how to steer or how to. And here's the same. After 15, 20 minutes, people get so used to it that they don't feel the difference. But it's at the
That's
beginning a bit
yeah.
less effort, a
More
little bit.
effort.
Yeah,
It takes a little bit
exactly.
to adapt. I mean, especially when you're so used to skating on this traditional ice, you're used to the ins and outs. You've gotten used to how to use your edges. Probably takes a little bit to adapt to a new type of surface. But so when you make the surface, or is it laying down pads like these they come in like like smaller pads, and you just lay them down and then you put them together? Is that how it works?
Exactly. So it's pads, and
Mm-hmm.
we have like a commercial version, and
Okay.
we have a home version. The commercial version is tongue and groove, and
Okay.
they have like a pin which comes in, and it's a CNC machine, so it's perfectly computer, cut.
Oh
So
yeah.
you when you skate, you will not feel the seams. It's
Right.
so
Right.
perfect, yeah. And for the home version, it's like a dovetail, so it
Okay.
takes you 5 minutes to install it, and normally it's a dad and son thing. They order a small glice rink, install it in the basement or in the
Yeah.
backyard.
Yeah.
They click it together, and they can ice skate or play a match of hockey together.
That's
So
amazing.
it's very very easy. Yeah, and
That's awesome.
it allows, like the crazy thing, we've done our rinks already in over 100 countries.
Mm-hmm.
We've done ice hockey match on the beach in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, or other crazy places you cannot imagine. Or there was like a huge commercial being done on top of a mountain, the highest hockey rink we set up, and they did a commercial. And so it's the sky is the limit in what you can do with our surface. Yeah.
This is phenomenal. Like as a guy who loves ice, and even like, it's difficult, especially in the winter, when you have kids and you want to put an ice rink in the backyard. Like, climate change has really made it difficult because you never know if it's going to be a hot winter, like a warm winter, or a cold winter. Like this
Mm.
winter, it's been pretty good. Like, we've had a lot of snow, we've had a lot of ice. It's been cold most of the days, like below, minus, 9 or minus 10 centigrade. And so it's been nice. Like, you could actually put a
Mm.
rink in your backyard. But last year you couldn't. Like, it was just it was warm, so there was like barely any snow, and it barely got below 0 degrees centigrade. So I can just imagine
Mm.
putting this in my backyard, having it all year round, and just putting on the skates, and with some shorts and some skates. It'd be a little weird, but
Exactly.
you could do it in the summer. It doesn't matter. You could work on your skills all year long if you want, or have like a fun game of 3-on-3 or 2-on-2 or 1-on-1 or whatever in your backyard. That
Mm.
seems
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah.
Now, from the commercial standpoint, because I would imagine, like, the commercial standpoint, it's that's where the energy saving is, right? Um, you just lay the pads down and that's it. Like, there's no energy required to keep it the way it is, the same consistency. There's no energy
Zero.
required. Maybe there's a
Yeah.
little energy required in cleaning it because you're
Yeah. The
using the
cleaning
surface
machine
cleaner.
runs on
Right.
electricity. Yeah.
But
But
even then,
that's
that's not
tiny. That's
huge. Yeah.
yeah. It's compared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when you've done hockey rinks then before.
Yeah. So we have hockey clients.
Okay.
We have they build different sizes of rinks where they play matches, but
Okay.
we've gone much further. We have complete training center
Oh
concepts
wow.
where you have different stations. On one station, you practice slap shot,
Yeah.
and you have a radar measuring your speed. You have
Love it.
reaction. Where it's your reaction is measured. We have a Glice skate mill where you can do conditioning work on a like it's like a treadmill.
Right,
It's a
right.
skate mill, yeah,
Okay.
and so on. And so it's a whole dreamland for hockey
Yeah,
players to improve their skills. And
that's
they have
awesome.
professional hockey clubs. They built that next to their regular arena. They
Yep,
built a food center like that. Yeah, and
that's amazing.
so that's on the professional side. And then of course we have shopping malls,
Yeah.
Christmas markets, luxury hotels, and so on. So the list is endless. We even have
Yeah.
a lot of movies. They cannot afford. They need a lake, a nice frozen lake for a romantic ice skating scene, and
Okay, I gotcha.
so they get the rink from us, or even and you will be surprised. When they develop new cars,
Yeah.
okay, they need to test it. How does it act on ice? And
Uh-huh.
the manufacturers, the automotive manufacturers, that have either indoor ice skating rinks for testing, or they
Yeah.
go up north to frozen lakes one time per year, and they
Right.
have to conceal their cars because they're new models. No
Yeah, they
one,
don't want anybody to see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Volkswagen contacted us a few 3-4 years ago. They tested it and they built a huge 4,000 square meter rink in near in Germany, and
Yeah.
now they can test their cars on ice the whole year around, and
The
so
whole
the
year round.
innovation cycle is much
Yeah.
faster. And then after Volkswagen, BMW heard that, they built the rink as well, and then Honda and Jaguar and Ford and so on. So they all started to build their rinks with
Of
with,
course.
with Glice for testing, and
And then they can
that's
do it in any shape they want too. They don't have to do it as a rink shape or a lake shape. They can do it as a rectangle. They can do it as a square. They can do it as an octagon if they want. It all depends on what they want and what they're trying to test, and
exactly
whatever size they want too. That's
exactly.
it's incredible
Yeah,
to think about how many uses we use for ice.
yeah,
Like you said, car manufacturers are using it to see how well their cars do on ice. You're looking at different hockey rinks and figure skaters and all these different types of usages that you wouldn't really think. And the amount of ice that they have to create, traditional
yeah,
ice that they have to create, and the amount of energy that goes into that, you're taking these like small niches, right? Like it's a niche, not necessarily small. It's a pretty big niche, but and you have a problem. How much energy does it take to create this? Obviously for climate change, but even for cost, they're probably saving a lot of money based on
yeah,
that,
definitely.
especially from a
Yeah,
maintenance perspective. And you're solving a problem being like, hey, you can have ice all year round or wherever you'd like. You don't have to go up north to go to a lake where it's dangerous and you can lose the car and you have to worry, or you don't have to, if you want to get better at hockey and you're not in a city that's winterized or gets a winter season, you can do that. You can be in like Phoenix, Arizona, and you can have a rink in your backyard and you can skate as much as you want, and you can, fire off shots or work on your stick handling
yeah,
in 100-degree weather if you want. It's up to you.
yeah,
I think that's incredible to be able to take that, and be able to use it for the different applications. Um,
yeah.
when people a lot of companies are trying to save energy, they're trying to be quote unquote greener,
Mm.
and some of them do a better job at others. When they look at your ice and when you sell them this ice, do you mention that? Like, do you mention the energy savings and how it's good for the planet, and that could go towards like PR, or it could go towards like, look, you're saving the city money, or you're wherever you're working, or wherever you're building these, you're saving the county, the city, the region money by building this stuff. Like, how do you make that sale, and do you focus on the helping the climate and not putting out more emissions?
Um, it's a good question. Our clients, they come with different motives, but
Right.
I mean the reason why we exist is climate change, right? We want to save energy. So
Hmm.
and a lot of cities, now with the UN global development goals
Yep.
for climate change,
Yeah.
they have to find ways to save energy. And if their city rink, they see, wow, that's a lot of kilowatt hours,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are easy, you are a no-brainer solution. Okay, but also, I mean, a lot of people come and they want to be better at hockey. A lot of ice hockey coaches who know us, they
Yeah.
recommend their kids get a rink at home because
Yeah.
the
Of
famous
course.
rule 10,000 hours
Yeah.
of practice makes a master. So if one kid has a Glice pad at home, the
Yeah.
chance to get into the NHL is probably 50 times higher than a
Yeah.
kid who doesn't, right? So they
Yeah.
can practice and so on. So the motives are really different. But sometimes it's maybe a Hollywood studio. They don't have time to freeze and stuff, and they want a
Yeah.
quick solution, and they want our eyes. Or I give you another example. Maybe Red Bull Crashed Ice, where they go down on ice skates, right?
Yes. Yes.
So they had the World Championship in Marseille in France,
Yep.
and the night before, an official from them, contacted us and said, "Hey, we have a problem. We cannot freeze the ice. We have to
Ah.
cancel the World Championship, and everything is organized, a multi-million-dollar event." And we said, no worries. We packed a truck, sent
Yeah.
them our Glice panels,
Yeah.
and in the early morning they installed our Glice, and the World Championship could happen, in spite
Wow.
of the problem. And they saved a lot of energy on top. But they were not. They had a technical issue. That was not. They were not thinking about the environment at that moment.
Of
But
course. Yeah.
it comes together, right? So
Well, I mean,
that's
that's
the
it. There's so many uses for it, and like I said before, you don't realize how many uses there are. It makes sense, And you mentioned that the 10,000 hours on the ice to get better, and it's so true. I mean, Wayne Gretzky, probably one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest hockey player of all time in the NHL. I mean, he grew up on a pond in his backyard, and he was out there all the time. And I have to admit, during COVID, our league got shut down. I coach my daughters, and our league got shut down for a year. And at the beginning of the year, we were trying to start, and there were a lot of rules and everything that were in place, and it made it very difficult. But we had a couple practices, and I had one girl who was a really fast skater, but she was
yeah.
new to hockey. She couldn't stop. Victor, like, she couldn't stop. We were like, this is getting dangerous. So like, she's gonna hit the boards or run into somebody or something like that, because she'd skate full speed, and she didn't have much of a shot. It was her first year, and this is house league, so they're developing and stuff. And then we got shut down for COVID. Right, we tried to stop a little bit, but then we got shut down for COVID. Well, I saw her the next year. She was on my team again, and I was coaching her, and you should have seen the shot that she had. Like, she had a full on. She can hit the top corner, no problem. Her skating was better. Her stopping was perfect. Like, it got really good. And I asked her, I said, what happened? Like, how did you get so good? And she's like, I put a rink in my backyard. It was really cold that year. And she goes, I was out there every night. I was shooting like 50 pucks. I was skating around. I was like working on stopping. And this is like, when you do a pond, it's bumpy. Right? Like, if you do if you do a rink in the backyard, it's never going to be smooth unless you build like a Zamboni type thing and you really take care of the ice. It's not going to be perfect. And we all know that, and that's fine. So she was even better when she was on the rink. I can just imagine what would happen for a lot of these kids if they have this rink in their backyard or in their basement all year long, where they don't have to worry about dressing up in the cold. They can put their skates on, they can go around, shoot as much as they want, practice, going through like pylons and stuff like that. They'd be amazing. Like, the development would increase like 50-fold, like you said, and their chances of going further and playing better and playing at a higher level would be just unreal to do that. It really takes hockey to a different level. And this goes for figure skating. It goes for whatever you want to do on the ice, just pleasure skating, just to have some fun, just for an activity in the backyard or in the basement. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that it saves energy and you don't have to worry about it, even as a dad who is really busy, and having something in the backyard that I don't have to worry about maintaining, I would probably use it more than the kids. I'd be on it all the time.
Honestly, our issue sometimes it sounds too good to be true, right?
Right.
So
Right.
but we have thousands of families have now already their Glice rink in their home, and you hear fantastic stories of
Yeah.
their kids improving, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like just make a game changer basically.
Well, and also it gets them moving too. Like you think of from a health
Yeah,
perspective, especially now with the phones that like they are and video games and everything, you can just say, go out and have some fun skating, and,
yeah,
and just do that for an hour or two. If you do that every day for an hour or two, or just even a few days a week, you're going to be in great shape. Your
yeah,
cardiovascular system is going to be fantastic because you're skating all the time. Right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's phenomenal. Now, you guys have developed, how long has this business been in practice?
So we started with research and everything 12 years ago, but
12
really
years ago.
so since like 8-10 years, really pushing commercially.
And
Yeah.
when did you sell your first like pad?
The first was already like 12 years ago when we
Yeah.
started. Like we had
Okay.
some clients, but it was very slow
Yeah,
start,
for
and
sure.
yeah,
And now with all the different like options and verticals that you have, like car manufacturers and Hollywood studios and all this kind of stuff, and hockey
yeah.
rinks and figure skating rinks. I mean, it must be exploding. Congratulations on that.
Thank
That's
you so
that's
much. Yeah.
fantastic. I mean, to go from, you know, from a boy who like wanted to play in the forest all the time, couldn't do it because of Chernobyl of all things, a major event that affected a lot of people's health. And then it says, well, hold on a second, I got to do something better for the planet. Now you've got Glice, a company that is manufacturing, ice in a way, so people can enjoy it without having all the energy needs. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal, and I want to thank you, Victor, for coming on the podcast, because this has been just so much fun to talk about this, especially as someone who loves to skate as much as I do. I really appreciate it, you coming on. And if people wanted to get a hold of you or find out more information, how would they do so?
So the best is go on our website, glicerink.com.
Okay.
You also find us on Facebook and Instagram and all the social media.
Okay.
To see real clips of other people having fun on the ice. Or if you want to reach out personally to me, I'm also on LinkedIn, Victor Meyer,
Okay.
on LinkedIn, and that would also be a way.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome.
I'm happy to hear.
And if people
From
wanted to buy some ice, do they just buy it through the website, or do they go to like another place to buy it, or do you just go through the website?
Yeah, so we have an online store where you can order
Okay.
your Glice pad, and
Okay.
also you can always call. We have excellent customer service. If someone wants a customized version, or we've done for a girl, for example, a pink ice rink
I love it.
next Barbies and stuff. So we
Yeah.
can a lot of dreams come true. So just
Awesome.
contact us, and we find the solution.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do that. Yeah. So I'll put the links up in the show notes so that people can get a hold of that. But Victor, again, thank you so much. Love to hear this wonderful company doing such great things. Love to have you back on to talk more about, energy savings and climate change help. And we really appreciate what you do.
The same here. It was a great pleasure, and I can feel your passion for the
Absolutely.
ocean and
Yes.
innovation, and that's great. Has been
Thank you.
a
Yeah.
nice
Well,
topic.
hey, we love
Thank
it.
you so much.
You bet. No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Victor, for joining us on today's episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. It was great to have you on. Love the different applications, Hollywood type of movies, car manufacturers, ice rinks, or sporting or recreation. It's all there. It's all there. You don't realize how much ice that we have to make to allow all these things to happen. And to do that with almost a zero footprint is even better. Now, I didn't get into asking him about the manufacturing, how that takes and how much energy that takes, but when you look at it as a difference of what's going on now with regular ice and how much energy it takes to maintain that ice, it's a huge game changer. So we are, in for it when we're talking about how we're going to change the game for laying down ice pads and ice rinks in the future and having them in your home. Phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. Even just from a recreation and a being fit, having a fitter lifestyle, to be able to have stuff where you can go on this ice and you can skate around. It's phenomenal. That's the episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to put all of the links, the website, the social media sites. If you want to get a hold of Victor yourself on LinkedIn, I'm going to put that in the show notes. But also, if you have any questions or comments, you know how to get a hold of me. Just go to Instagram, DM me at How to Protect the Ocean. I will DM you as soon as I receive the message. And also, if you want to subscribe and hit that notification bell on the YouTube, you see how old I am? On the YouTube, and I'm doing the guns and everything. You could do so by just subscribing and clicking on that notification bell, and you'll get all the episodes we put out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But of course, you can always listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and your favorite podcast app. Do is just look up How to Protect the Ocean. That's it for me, and I want to thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time, and happy